Hey, what is up guys? Going to be going over the best cards that are going to be coming out in Primal Origins that you want to be pulling out of your booster pack. We're just going to be covering the cards that are super and higher, but anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the promo card. I wouldn't say this is one of the best cards to pull out of your packs, but nonetheless, I figured we'll mention it. It's Artifact Scythe, and basically its effect, just like all the other artifacts, is if it gets destroyed while it's set, it gets special summoned, and it has another effect. If this card is special summoned during your opponent's turn, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the active deck for the rest of the turn. So it's a mediocre effect. I mean, if they happen to MST before they go for their play, yeah, that can definitely hurt them. So it kind of has that surprise factor. So it's not a bad card. Everyone will have access to it if they participate in Sneak Peek. But anyways, let's go ahead and kick it off with our first card. I would consider a card that a lot of people will be excited to see. We have a lot of support for Gladiator, well, a small support I would say for Gladiator Beast. Looks like they kind of want to bring Gladiator Beast back, but realistically, I don't even know why Bestiary is still at 1, but nonetheless, we have Gladiator Beast, Neurokius, and basically he's used in the aspect that when you make him and he attacks, your opponent can't respond. That's okay, but the thing is, Gladiator Beast Heraclino kind of does that, and it requires 3 Gladiator Beasts anyways, and at that point, why not just go for Heraclinos? Because Heraclinos can stop, spells and traps as well by just getting rid of a card, and obviously War Chariot being, War Chariot. It's okay, I guess, in the aspect against Bujins, because Bujins, as we know, is a pretty nasty deck to run up against sometimes. But I think this card will be popular just because, Gladiator Beast coming kind of back into the game. I really wouldn't say that they're going to make a huge stand, because if you summon a Gladiator Beast and it dies, you can't use War Chariot. You don't really have any other follow-up play in that deck. Next up, we have Rank Up Magic, the 7th one. This is kind of a really stacky card. I'll basically give a brief explanation of it. If you draw this card during your draw phase, you get to exceed into any monster between 101 and 107. And it's really good in that aspect, but if you happen to draw it, not during your draw phase, it's -1, but it's kind of a cool card and it's a secret rare, and I think there are a lot of collectors that are looking out for this card. Next up, we have our first XYZ in the video, and that is Orea, the Sylvan High Arbiter. Basically, it is technically generic, but I would say most players that play this are going to be playing Sylvans. It can bounce back cards, and it can also excavate. You can basically OTK with this card. Really nasty card to actually run into. I actually did a video on this card and showing how good it can be. If you guys want to check that out, link in the description. But next up, we have Forbidden Scripture, another one of those forbidden cards, but unfortunately they decided to go with a secret rare variant for this card, and it is a quick play, and its effect is if a monster battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, negate all other card effects on the field until the end of damage step. Also, this damage calculation from this battle uses each monster's original attack and defense. So that means no Honest, no Crane, but at that point your opponent will just maybe drop a Mikazuchi next turn if you don't have another one of these. Well, I'm sorry. But nonetheless, it's pretty good if your opponent tries to, attack into your monster and you think that they're going to drop an Honest or something. You can activate this and then they will for sure go minus. But it's also actually good in another aspect. It doesn't have to be used just against things that would potentially increase attack. It says negate all other card effects on the field until the end of damage step. So that could mean that you could potentially stop other things that are already on the field. Hey, I don't know if Vandy's Emptiness is kind of a card, so that's good in that aspect. But there are other things that you can stop with this, so it has more utility than a lot of people think. Next up, the first card that I think is gonna really bring back Monarch's Majesty's Fiend. So this card is a really simple effect. Can't be special summoned, and monster effects cannot be activated. Period. That's a pretty good effect. That means hand, graveyard. That's amazing, and there's very few things that certain decks can do to get rid of this. I mean, if you make this card against certain decks, at that point they can't even play their deck because they might not have a monster that can just be summoned that can actually have over 2400 attack, and they might not be able to get over this monster because they don't happen to have spell and traps. There are a lot of really aggressive decks like the Hieratic Rulers that don't happen to play a lot of back row, so you can drop this and some decks will just simply lose because of that. Plus it's searchable off of the Monarch Black Whirlwind, which we got more support for Monarchs that we're going to talk about. So the Monarchs Erupt, so this is basically skill drain for your Monarchs. It's a pretty good card, and you don't really need Majesty's Fiend because, it kind of skill drains everything anyways, but more so it just brings that stun aspect that Monarchs really never had. Monarchs never really had that game plan of making it so your opponent couldn't play, unless you're talking about macro Monarchs, which actually don't exist anymore because Defissure and macro are at 1. Next up, we have Sylvan Princess Sprout. This card's pretty good. Basically it's used for its secondary effect where if this card is excavated, you can special summon it and you get to declare a level 1 through 8, and you get to special summon it, and it becomes that level. So that is pretty insane. That means you can exceed into almost anything. If you guys have Copy Plant too, that's going to be really insane, because that means make whatever you want. So have some fun going through pretty much everything in your extra deck that is an XYZ. Well, I mean, technically, Copy Plant is a tuner, so hey, you can pretty much make any synchro you want as well. Next up, we have a bunch of the artifacts coming out. Now, I would say if you are a budget player, because a lot of people were excited about the artifact kind of being a budget deck. Well, they thought it was going to be a budget deck, because some of the stuff that was released earlier, they announced that it was common, but there's a lot of the stuff that is going to be ultra and super. This one's a super. This is one of the most important cards. I'm going to be calling the artifacts by their weapons. But anyways, Artifact Sword gets the pop-up card. He's a super rare. He's pretty good. He's basically needed to get rid of problematic cards. Next up, we have Pelissa, the descendant of Gusto. It's used basically to synchro up. There's always one player that is playing Gustos. It doesn't matter the format. You'll run into a Gusto player eventually, whether you're playing online or at a actual tournament. There's always someone that really loves this deck, and this deck, it's one of those decks where it just never wants to die. It just keeps on bringing back monsters over and over. But be on the lookout for this card, because it's really easy to make that synchro in this deck now with this card. The synchro basically makes it so they can crash all of their monsters, and then from there you'll be taking all the battle damage, and they kind of OTK you by crashing their own monsters. Next up, we have Escalation of the Monarchs, which is really going to help Monarchs out a lot. It's once per turn during your opponent's main phase or your opponent's battle phase. You can immediately after this card resolves tribute summon one monster. So that means no effect failure. Your opponent can't effect failure you on their turn. So that's really where I feel like Monarchs are going to be able to shine with that ability. Next up, we have Artifact Durandal, or Durandal, or however you pronounce it. But anyways, this card's used in artifacts. I mean, anything can make it, but for the most part, I would say artifacts are going to be the deck that really can abuse this card more than anything. Although technically, I guess if you're playing a Silver Sentinel, or actually, no, I think Silver Sentinel only gets its effect when your opponent destroys it. But nonetheless, if you have any other suggestions for what we could use this in, there actually is a Artifact Durandal, really sacky way to actually abuse this card, and you get rid of everything out of your opponent's hand. I'll put another link if you guys want to check that out for a video where you get rid of all your opponent's cards turn one. It's pretty sacky. It's a little bit conditional, but nonetheless, it's available. Next up, we have Sylvan Sack Discard. Anyways, this is basically a really important card because it lets you add back Graceful Charity. So, if it's excavated, you get to add Graceful Charity. That's pretty much the card you're going to be going for, or you could technically go for the field spell. But its other effect is when a Sylvan monster is sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then once per turn you can execute the top card. If it's a plant monster, you get to send it to the graveyard, otherwise place it on the bottom of your deck. Next up, we have Madolche and Jelly. This is the card that is going to make Madolches very, very strong. However, one thing that Madolches will lose to is something that prevents them from summoning multiple times. Example, Shadow Midrash will absolutely wreck Madolches because there are very few things that some decks can do against Midrash, and Madolches is one of those decks where it's very difficult to actually get rid of Midrash unless you happen to have a D prison. So yeah, Madolche and Jelly is just going to be huge for Madolche. This is the card that they've been waiting for, so be on the lookout for that. Next up, we have Artifact Ignition, which I believe, if I remember correctly, I did briefly check out everything, and it was an ultra rare. This is the card that's most important. This is the card that a lot of players have been splashing in OCG. They've been just running 3 of these because it pops card in the field, and then you can set the Artifact Sword, the one that allows you to pop extra cards. But remember, in the OCG, they do have Heavy Storm, so I feel like that kind of changes the mechanic up a lot, because if you Heavy Storm a Artifact player, they're just going to be able to special summon a bunch of stuff, and from there, you just might lose from there. But Artifact Ignition is really, really good. It's one of those splashable cards. Plus, if you're playing artifacts, you probably want to run 3 of these anyways. Nonetheless, it's going to be a ultra rare, and so if you're a budget player, I don't know if it's the smartest thing to actually build artifacts, because the other artifact card that you need is also an ultra rare, and you'd probably want 3 of those as well. Next up, we have Sylvan Charity. I'm so happy that they didn't make it a secret rare, but it is an ultra rare. I would love to see this card as a common, because everything in Sylvan's is kind of high rarity. I mean, Martial Leaf and the Mushroom, I don't remember, but they're like ultras. But anyways, this is Graceful Charity just for them. It's insane, and it becomes even better because you get to actually stack your deck and then set up for the field spell and do more shenanigans later on. But next up, we have Artifact Sanctum, the other card that I was talking about earlier, that is an ultra rare that you probably want to run 3 of. So Artifact's kind of an expensive deck, especially since, like I said, you're going to want 3 of these, you're going to want 3 of swords, you're going to want 3 of the artifact ignitions anyways. But next up we have Bujin Harumi. I feel like sometimes when you're playing against Bujins, if you get rid of that one summon, like that first Yamato summon, and they don't have a rebuttal play, sometimes it really helps out because they have so many cards that they just can't activate because they don't control a Beast Warrior Bujin. So this kind of just helps out the deck. I mean, Mikazuchi is great and all, but this is basically the ability to XYZ for the deck also. It just it can't be normal summon or set. It just has to be special summon by banishing a Bujin monster. It's pretty self-explanatory, and it has another effect. But briefly, that's its main effect. But we got some more Bujin support, and this is actually another version of Honest. This one, you banish it from your graveyard, and that monster you control gains attack equal to the current attack of the opponent's monster it is battling until the end of damage step. And if it does, all battle damage your opponent takes from his battle is half, but it's still basically a really nasty card, because sometimes doubling a Bujin's attack still isn't enough, especially when you're playing Malefics, but this card will make it so, well, who cares about that. But nonetheless, Bujins are looking really nasty. I mean, the Kaiser Coliseum plus Yamato is just so hard to deal with for certain decks. And lastly, we have a card that I think is just going to be a kind of semi-expensive card just because it's kind of a hot, you know, girl card, and perverts like me like these cards. Vampire Vamp. I wish there was some more revealing clothing on her, but nonetheless, she's still pretty hot. I want to make a sick token out of it. But I mean, we can go over her effect, but it's once per turn when this card or vampire monster is normal summoned to your side of the field, you get to target one face-up monster your opponent controls whose attack is higher than this card's, and you get to equip it to this card. This card gains attack equal to the combined original attack of the monsters equipped by this effect. When this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped with a card by this effect, special summon this card from the graveyard. So that's not too bad of a card, but I mean, realistically, I mean, I don't know if you guys have tried Vampires. It's not the best deck, but you know, nonetheless, I mean, Soul Charge can totally change the game, especially since this card is a level 7. But who knows what's in store for Vampires. I feel like they're trying to push Vampires a little bit over in the TCG more than they are in the OCG. But nonetheless, those are the cards that I personally think are going to be the best cards that you want to be pulling out of your packs out of Primal Origins. But I will be making another video talking about the other good cards in this set. They aren't just the high rarity cards, but for the most part, those are the cards that you want to trade for, whether maybe you hope to pull them out of your packs or if your friends pull those. These are the cards that you're going to want to get, so that way maybe even if you don't want them, you can trade some other people in the future and you can get the cards that you will need. But anyways, I guess you guys can tell me what your favorite card out of this set is. And personally for me, I like Vampire Vamp because I want to make a token out of her, and it's just going to be good just as a token for my gores. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and like I said, if you guys want to check out the other video where I talk about the other good cards in the set, link down below, as well as the other video where I talk about the Durandal Artifact card, and as well as the Sylvan card over here. We can actually see a pretty nasty combo with it. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes out.